Okay, hi, welcome to the Rams Agents Production Coaching Call. The goal of the call is to help you sell more homes by maximizing your repeating referral closings by implementing the Referral Agent Mastery System into your practice. My name is Mike Cerrone, a co-founder of Rams Agents, and my co-host is Angela Newman, a master trainer of Rams Agents. Hello, Angela. How are you today?
Good morning, everybody. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Fantastic,
Good,
fantastic.
good.
All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Who has some good news they'd like to share? Anybody got some good news they'd like to share for the week? Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask somebody about some good news they shared yesterday on our huddle. Tristan had shared that and he's driving, he may not be able to talk to us, but Tristan had shared that he's been door knocking, and he's starting to pick that back up in a big way, knocking on 100, 200 doors a day, almost 300 one day last week, just incredible. And he's getting out there and he's meeting people. And two things were interesting that popped out of that. I just want to share, and I hope it's okay if Tristan's all right with me sharing these. But one, he took a listing from somebody he met about a month and a half ago, and that just went under contract. So that was really exciting. That was great news. And and with that, he had, the market's changed a little bit. He had a couple of low ball offers, and he was able to go back out from our calls. He got the idea, at least this is the story I remember. He got the idea to reach back out to those people and those agents and everybody who's shown the property or shown any interest, and respark that. And he was able to respark interest with one of the people that made an early offer but left. They came back and he was able to negotiate a deal with them and his client on his listing. So he was able to get that under contract, and that source came from just a cold door knock. Doot, 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 doot. The other thing that I thought was really interesting on the doors, Tristan is great. I don't know if you picked up on it. I'm sure you all have. He's an action taker. We love action takers. He gets an idea and he goes and takes action on it. And an example of that was maybe a month ago or so, we started talking about MOFIRs, right? And Tristan's, what's that? And we talked about the MOFIR is make an offer for immediate response. Okay, make an offer for immediate response. And an example of that, I'll give you his example. It's basically a call to action, and you're asking people to, if they want to sell their home, you're immediately going directly to the offer of, hey, if you want to sell your home, I'm here to help. And there's different ways to package that and deliver it, but that's basically what it is. You're asking them to take immediate action if they are in the mood to get their home on the market and get it sold. And so we were talking about doing that through some direct mail, and you could do it online. And there's a lot of different places you can do it. I was bringing it up through some direct mail options that I was testing. And Tristan took that idea, and he's door knocking, and he's start to leave items on the door when they don't answer. And he was leaving a business card on the door. And I'm really elaborating on the story. Would be great. He'd tell it much better than me, but he had one of his people in the office who went door knocking with him maybe a year ago. She left a card on the door, and that person called and got a listing. And so what we tried to do is plus that up with a MOFIR on the back. So flip the card over and make a little note offering a MOFIR. And again, all these ideas, nothing is brand new. This has been done by others, but Tristan grabbed that idea and took it, and he's flipping the card now and making a little note. We'll have to ask him specifically what the note said, but my understanding, it was something very short. It was something like, you have a beautiful home. If you want to sell, give me a call. I think he even has it shorter than that. And what he'll do is he'll knock. If they don't answer, he flips the card, makes that note, puts it on the door. And just started doing that, and already had 2 people call him back from those cards, which he's following up with. And I think he told us he just set an appointment. So now I see Tristan may be able to talk to us. If he can, he's driving. I don't want him to get in an accident. But is that all correct? Tristan, you can nod your head if I've got this story right.
Yeah, I'm at a red light now. That's perfect, Mike. Great synopsis. That's spot on. Thank you so much for sharing my story.
You bet. We're so proud of you, Tristan. We're so proud of you getting out there. Tristan has really taken on the door knocking. Again, everybody has their skill set, talent, comfort level, and he feels really good out there at the doors, meeting people face to face, which I completely understand. Um, I've tried phones and I've tried door knocking in my early career, and phones were really hard for me. They're still hard for me. But doors, I like doors. I like to see someone face to face. I like to see their reaction. I like them to see my reaction. For whatever reason, I just communicate better with people face to face. And I'm sure that's probably part of why Tristan likes to be at the door. Um, but he's really taken that on. And so anyway, thank you for letting me share your story. So that's some good news that I thought was pretty cool.
But I just want to add something on that, Mike, quick, because I don't like door knocking, and I don't think people like making calls to strangers. Like it's every day you gotta kind of challenge yourself to face the fear or to be brave. But I don't like door knocking, and I don't think most people like it or making calls. But in order to make things happen, we gotta, continue to push ourselves.
Tristan, that's excellent insight. You have to face your fears, right? You have to face your fears, I heard you say. I heard you say that you have to do things that may be uncomfortable or you don't like. And the way I've heard that said before is if you want to get things that other people don't have, you have to do things other people aren't willing to do, right? So very few people are willing to go out there and knock on the doors. And Tristan is willing to do it, even though, as you just said, it's not his favorite thing to do. He recognizes that, and yet he turns it into an action step that he can take. He gets over that fear and he steps into that arena either way, anyway. Um, and that's what champions do. Tristan happens to be an ex-professional soccer player. He knows how to take on these crazy hard challenges that most people don't ever have to experience. Although we all experience challenges on a daily basis, just in different ways. And the key here is to learn how to face those head on. And you'll find power where you may not have before. I don't know if Tristan's still driving, and so I don't know if he'll be able to chime in, but I do have a follow-up question for him, and that is, how are you finding the strength to go out there and conquer this fear and knock on these doors, since you just told us you don't necessarily like it? What is driving you to knock on these doors? I mean, you're knocking on not just a couple doors. Some days you're knocking on you just knocked on 100 yesterday. I saw you knocked on 100, talked to 40 people and got 11 leads. I believe that's what I just saw from yesterday, because you're giving us reports. Thank you so much, and inspiring us. Last week, almost 300 dials, 300 knocks one day. What is driving you to do that? Do not run into anything, please.
I think it's just trying to get better at my job, essentially. I like what I'm doing. I want to sell more homes to be able to take care of my family, and what I was doing wasn't working. So let me try something different, and now I feel like it's starting to work. So I just want to get better and do more so I can sell more homes, essentially. Yeah, like real estate's a great career, but to make the money, if you're not selling homes, you're not making income. And there was for a few months I wasn't selling any homes, so just that hunger to take care of my family.
Yeah, and I think that last part was the kernel, right? That's the crux of it. You want to provide for your family, and so you're willing to do things other people aren't willing to do to make that happen. Is that true? Is that the driver? Is it more internal?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like I just gotta just trying to stay focused, Mike, every day. Every day is a challenge, and every day it's like you can lose or you can win. And I tried to make it into a game of like, you know, how many doors can I knock? Like yesterday, I got caught up in emails and phone calls and follow-ups, and then I was like, I'm at zero, and the day was almost done. So it's just every day I turned it into a game to try to beat my score or put, just focus on my doors knocked as my main uh indicator of did I have a good day or did I not build my business today.
That's great insight. So you've gamified the door knocking, you've turned it into a game, and you've been able to do that because you're tracking your numbers, you're tracking how many doors you're knocking on, you're tracking how many people are answering, you're tracking how many connections you're making, how many nurtures you're making, how many leads, how many listings are coming out of it. You're tracking all that data so that you can turn it into a game. And it sounds like to me you figured out the most important part of prospecting, which is you're focusing on your actions and not the results, right? You want the listings and the closings. We want the money at the closing table, let's be honest. And so you back that up. The money at the closing table is the commission. You're backing it up to you had to do all the work to help sell the home. In order to do that, you had to get the listing. In order to do that, you had to get the leads. In order to get the leads, you had to do the door knocking. So you're starting at the square one with the door knocking. And that's really the only thing that you can control is how many doors that you knock on. The next thing you can control is what you say at the door. And we've worked on your delivery over the last 6 months, your script, as well as now you're adding the MOFIR, which we started this conversation with. And that's upping your results that you want. But it all goes back to the action. The one thing you can't control is how many doors that you knock on. You can't control how many people answer the door. You can't control how many people like your offer or your statement with your script, but you can control how many people you knock on their door. I love this one because it's so visual for the rest of us. Whether you're a door knocker or not, Tristan is taking action every day to move his business forward with what he can control. And it's a great lesson for all of us as well. Anybody have any questions for Tristan, who's driving, and we'll try not to have him crash, but any questions, follow-up questions that you're curious about?
So at the end of the day, what does it feel like to knock on 200 doors?
Hmm.
We can hear you, Tristan.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, feels like I gotta beat 200 tomorrow, or okay, let me try to beat 200. Essentially, I just want to keep upping my high score, so to speak. So I think those are the days that are the most fun when you set a new record. But yeah, I don't know. I think the best feeling is when you meet someone that wants to sell. I think that's like the best high because like you hit lots of doors where people don't answer or people may be mean or people aren't interested or people love their home. But when you meet someone and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to sell now, I think that's the best feeling because it's like, yes, a client. And then now to get to the point where, okay, the house is actually sold. Uh, it's like, okay, wow, any door could be the next door where I meet another Aaron or another person who's in that exact situation. So it's fun. I guess it's kind of like going to the casino and you're pulling the thing and then you hit the jackpot kind of thing.
You bet. That's awesome. The one-armed bandit analogy. Um, what I'm hearing, and I think these are great lessons. What I'm hearing is you your focus is on the victories because a lot of us make the mistake of focusing on things that are not victorious, right? Knocking on the door and nobody answers, knocking on the door and someone says no, or they turn us away, or maybe they give us a funny look, or any little slight. We sometimes, if we let ourselves, we'll gleam onto that and go, oh, this is never going to work. And Tristan's been able to push through on that. He's got some of these victories. He focuses on them. I don't know if you just saw how his face lit up when he was talking about that big win, right? And he's very competitive, and he's found an avenue to direct that competitiveness. He's physical from his sports days, so he likes to get out and be physical and door knock. If you think about it, he's lining things up with his past victories in his prior life before real estate. Really cool. Anybody else have any follow-up questions? That was a great question, Angela. Well, Tristan, thank you so much for sharing. Oh, Angela, you have another one?
Well, I was just gonna say, can you say again what MOFIR stands for? Because I didn't catch the M, and I always get confused on that.
Yeah, so again, I'll make sure I spell this right. MOFIR. MOFIR. And it's make offer for immediate response. Thank you for asking, Angela. Make offer for immediate response, MOFIR. And again, it has many different formats, but in essence, it's saying, hey, do you want to sell your home? Call me. Or do you want to sell your home? Let's talk some more. Do you want to sell your home? Go get on my schedule and let's talk. You know, depending on where you are, what medium, you could do that. Tristan's doing it at the door. You could do it in your door with your script. He's doing it at the door on the back of his business card. You could do it when you walk up and meet somebody at a restaurant, one-on-one, and you're talking to them. I could say, are you thinking about buying or selling a home? That's a very old script, but it works because it's a MOFIR, right? It's a MOFIR. And you're only going to find 1 in 100 people that say yes, but if you do it enough, you're going to find a lot of yeses. It could be put on a postcard. It could be put on a social media post. It could be put in a video. You could add it as a little script in your video. If you know, some of you are doing podcasts and videos, it's just a little script. Hey, you thinking about selling your home in the next 60 days? Let's chat. Give me a call. Here's the phone number. That's like the simplest kind of MOFIR. And you can make it elaborate or simple. You can do it when you're reaching out to your sphere. You know, we do a lot of just light touches with our sphere, but every once in a while you should make them a MOFIR. Hey, you thinking about selling your home this year? You thinking about buying a home this year? Give me a call. Let's talk, right? That's a MOFIR. So does that help, Angela?
Yes, and so is it different than a call to action? Like, I guess it's more direct than just a call to action that says download my top 10 homes in your neighborhood or in your area, whatever. It's a more direct.
Yeah, it
It's a
has a very specific purpose. So that's an interesting question, actually. Let me think about that. So MOFIR, make offer for immediate response. So a MOFIR actually could be most any call outs where you're a call for action, where you're asking people to call for action. It's just when I've heard it used in the past, it's usually for a direct sale, right? Rather than a direct lead, like a lead magnet, as you mentioned. Hey, come and collect my top 10 reasons for living in ABC city, right? The top 10, you reply here to get the top 10 list of swimming pool houses in this city, right? Those are kind of lead magnets to get people into your world, and then you usually drip on them. You're trying to get them early in the process. The other thing that MOFIR usually is, it's usually trying to find people very late in the funnel. So if you have a funnel, top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel being they're ready to list their home as an example, and top of the funnel is they just starting to think about selling their home. And so there's a lot of people up at the top, and you could be filling the top with these generic offers, call to actions, and you need to do that. But what Tristan's done is he's trying to do a MOFIR and go directly to the bottom of the funnel. Even though there's fewer people, he's trying to find the people that want to go right now with the MOFIR, right? Call me if you want to sell your house. It's very direct, right? And that offer is very sharp. It's very direct. It can be off-putting to people, right? For all the people who aren't interested, but that's not who you're talking to. you're trying to find a person that goes, oh yeah, it's funny you say that. I was just talking to my wife about that last night. Incredible. Wow. Yeah, let me tell you what we're doing. Right? That's the kind of person you're looking for with that MOFIR offer.
Good, good. Yeah, that's great.
That was a good question.
I was thinking of another way of looking at that is if Tristan had been just putting a business card on the door, just literally just a business card. Okay, a realtor stopped by. That's kind of what you would think, if you're the homeowner. But then he goes the extra step to put this note, you have a beautiful home. If you want to sell, please give me a call. Something along those lines where it kind of triggers them to think about what he actually is offering. It's like the difference between saying, call me for all of your, I see my videos out there, call me for all of your real estate needs, or saying, if you're ready to sell your house, call me. There's two different approaches there, and the more direct one often makes the difference. It really does, because people may not even think about the services that you offer or know what the services are that you offer until you actually make the offer for immediate response.
It's a good point. Sometimes we're nervous about being direct, and so we're so indirect, people have no idea what we actually do. You ever meet somebody, you ask them what they do for a career, and you're like, I still don't know what you do. I don't have a clue what you do, right? And so we have to be real clear about the fact that we help people buy and sell homes and what you're looking for. And that's an opportunity you have with a MOFIR. A really good MOFIR goes really narrow into, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, are you thinking about selling your home in the next 60 days? Let's chat. Right? It's very direct. You're not looking for people thinking about selling their home in a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. You're looking for people in the next, are you thinking about moving in the next 2 weeks? Let's talk, let's chat, let's talk, right? You can really narrow it. Now, again, you're getting further and further down the funnel. It's fewer and fewer people, but boy, you find one of those, you're in great shape, great shape. I was just mentioning, I'm trying to keep it under taps, and here I am talking on a video, but I'm working on a special project where I've been going out and looking at a group of people who have raised their hand in a certain way, and wondering, are these people might be selling their property. They have property and they might be selling it. And I've been looking at this group, and from the time they raise their hand and you recognize that they're thinking about doing something, I looked over a 90-day period. Within 90 days from the time they raised their hand, about a third of them put their home on the market and or sold it. That's an incredible group of people, right? And you need to make an offer to them right away. You can't be tiptoeing around the idea. You got to go very direct or you're not going to pick those people up. I may come back and talk more about that. I call it my special project later. But there are things like that out there where you've got to take quick action. But those people, I mean, the reason I brought them up is they're really far down the funnel. Would you agree? I mean, a third of them listed and or already sold and closed their home in the 90 days from when they raised their hand. That's an incredible group of people. Anyway, so any other questions about MOFIRs or door knocking before we move on?
I think it was a good point that you brought up about asking people, because I've been thinking, like, when I'm driving, I'm brainstorming of, okay, how can I like make connections in real life? Like Angela brought up like making friends at the gym and stuff, and like I was at the gym yesterday and I was like thinking like, okay, door knocking is kind of easy because you know exactly what to say. But I was thinking about that question that you said of, are you thinking about buying or selling real estate? Like asking people that question in real life. I think that was a great question, because even if they're not, you can ask, well, if you do in the future, 5, 10 years from now, would it be okay if we stayed in touch? And boom, now you can make, these connections with these strangers. So I think that was a powerful question that I'm gonna take with me.
Tristan, you just used a great concept, which is time. Use time. You said, hey, are you thinking about moving now? No. Well, how about within the next year or 5 years or 10 years, right? By stretching out the time, you'll widen up the funnel. You'll talk to more people. And so we've worked with Tristan on that. When he was first door knocking, he was very narrow in his script, and that's fine. But we opened up the funnel by saying, hey, look at all these people that might be moving in the next year or 2 years. Add them into the top of the funnel. You're still looking for those people that want to move right away, but don't turn away the people that might want to move in the next year. Add them to a funnel and a follow-up system, and you're going to get more in a year. You're going to be alive and you're going to be in real estate in a year. You might as well bring those people down the funnel and be talking to you, not have to swing back by and knock on their door. As far as talking to the people that you meet one-on-one, if you want something that's a little less direct, instead of saying, hey, Tristan, are you thinking about buying or selling property in the next 60 days, right? That's very direct and it's very urgent, and that's fine. That can work, and you can drop that into a conversation maybe once a year, maybe once a couple times a year. But if you're nervous about that, there's a softer way to say it, but it's still really good. And that is, hey, Tristan, do you know of anyone thinking about buying or selling in the next 60 days? I'm looking for people. And then if they are, they'll say, oh, that's funny, I am, right? It's kind of a little more indirect, but it's still direct because you're asking for a certain thing. It's a little way to step into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's smooth, Mike. I like that.
Sure. And again, I didn't come up with all this stuff. It's just all floating out there. I'm convinced now everything's already been thought of. It's just when you kind of capture it or start talking about it or working on it, start focusing, maybe you'll do a little twist, but that's probably already been figured out too. So anyway, but it's all out there. The key is, do you start using it? Do you pick it up and start using it? We've heard all this stuff before, but we're not always ready for it. And like Tristan is in the game right now and he's ready for it. So good. All right, let's do this. I know we've eaten up some time, but I really enjoyed that. Hope everybody else did. Let's open up and say, hey, does anybody have any burning challenges that you would like us to address? Any challenges you want the group to talk about, think about, focus on? Anything that you're stumbling blocks you're experiencing in your practice? I think that those are the most helpful, because if you're experiencing a stumbling block, somebody else is, either in this group or after the fact that's listening to our discussion here. And maybe we can help somebody out as well as yourself. Any stumbling blocks or challenges you're experiencing in your practice?
I've gotten out of the habit of sending the personal notes that I have done so well over the past year or two. Um, and I'm just throwing that out there because I'm realizing it when you were saying are the things that are burning issues, and I had made some notes here to get back on that. Um, last November, I guess it was, I did a full-on series of gratitude notes and sent notes to everyone, a lot of people, and just told them what I appreciated about them and that I was grateful for their friendship. And that was very impactful. A lot of people responded to me about that or said something about that. And I need to get back on that. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know that it's a challenge that I'm dealing with. It's something I've got to get back in the habit of doing, though.
That's a really great point, Blake, for so many reasons. Number one, you in particular, this is your item that you've done well, and your reach out to your past clients and your sphere of influence, these little personal cards where you're mentioning something specific about them. It's that one-on-one connection that you're doing. An old-fashioned medium through writing, which people still love and appreciate because it doesn't happen very often, especially today, where they're getting something in the mail that references something neat about them or cool about them, gives them that personal touch. That not only is it giving personal touch, they have it as proof of their greatness, right? Because you mentioned something great about them. They have proof of that for themselves, proof of that to show anybody else. If you have a down day, it's not a bad thing to look at some of that proof. So it really is powerful in a lot of ways. I know it takes time. I have met many top agents over the years that is one of their biggest drivers of their business is repeating referrals and just a personal note. And I must admit, when I heard it being young and naive and techno focused, I'm like, oh, that's stupid. Who would write a note to somebody? Who would care about a note? And I would put it aside. And then I started recognizing later I was interviewing many of these top agents. I mean, we're talking people closing 50, 100, 150 units a year, and their main driver is writing a personal note, right? But it's that connection. And so what they'll do is they'll create a system. They'll want to make 2 notes a day or 3 notes a day or maybe 5 notes a day. And they want to do those reach outs every single day. And it creates a system. That's the part I don't want us to forget. Usually if I find someone who's gone off track on their business, it's because they stopped doing what made them successful, right? They got distracted by shiny objects of X, Y, and Z, or it's their personality. Like a lot of us are high eyes on the disc profile, and we like to skip around and do new things. And so that's fine. And you may discover something great, but usually what happens is the thing that drove your business no longer is occurring and your business falls off. I've got a person that I coach with who just likes to make, we got this person to make phone calls in the mornings. They were having trouble staying in touch with their PCSOI, and they would just make 1 call a day. That's how this person got in the track. And then before they knew it, they were doing 5 a day. And before they knew it, their business really spiked up, right? They were meeting some crazy opportunities were coming their way because they wanted to do luxury, and all of a sudden they're bumping into $1, $2, $3, $4 million listing opportunities, all because they were making these phone calls to their sphere, right? They had and they were going along, and then I don't want to reveal who the person is, but they got sidetracked with some family issues and stopped doing the calls for a couple months, right? They had to travel out of state and take care of a family member. And so it just stopped. And so now, after the fact, they're coming to me and saying, my business has gone to nothing. Like, yeah, got to get back to the basics. Got to get back to the basics. Got to start making those calls again or something. You have to connect with people every single day. The more people you talk to every single day, or more people you connect with every single day, the better your opportunity. And then we got the funnel there. I like the funnel concept as well. So top of the funnel are people we don't know very well. Bottom of the funnel are people we know really well. They're the most likely ones to meet with us. So those are the first ones you want to touch out and reach out to. And that's what Blake was doing with his notes one-on-one, right? So we can't forget our PCSOI. It's the most valuable part of our business. But if we want our business to grow beyond that, that's why we have to do these other things like door knocking or special projects or whatever else it is to drive that business in. Thanks for bringing that up, Blake. Anybody have any questions or comments for Blake about the note cards?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, Blake, because I've really been thinking about these letters that you've been writing, these notes, because part of my system that I haven't been doing consistently is when I'm making these connections with people, I'm supposed to be sending them a handwritten postcard. But lately I haven't been doing it, and it made me think about you. And I was curious, like, do you have a system that you use to stay consistent with it? And also, do you gamify it like me, or do you like track it, your notes and stuff? So I'm just curious about how you manage that.
The Gamify, that's such a great tool. I don't do that, but I need to. I just wrote it down so I'll remember that to say, hey, this week I need to get this many, or this day I need to get this many. Can I do more the next day, or outdo myself, basically? Um, but no, Tristan, I did have a system, but I have not. It's fallen off the track, so I need to round it back up and get going again. I did have a system. I was doing 5 a day, but I had a very clear window of when I was doing that. It was all during the month of November. That was my specific goal of I'm doing 5 a day during the month of November. This was 2024. So I did. And then I continued on with some. I'd keep on with, cards here and there. But I had that system for a month. And then I just kind of fell out of doing it regularly. And I need to follow up and do that. That's what struck me is I need to get my system back in order.
Let's talk about why that worked for you in November. Like you had a deadline. You had a
Yeah.
deadline. That's number one way to get yourself to do something and make sure it gets done is write it down and have a deadline. You had a goal to reach out to all these people. You had a certain number of people you wanted to reach out to by the end of the month. You had a certain number of days to do it. You took the total number of people that you wanted to reach out to, divided by the total number of days. That's how you got your 5. You turned it into a game, and you were going to write your 5 a day until you reached the goal at the end, and you won the victory. It's just then you didn't have an extension of the game, but that's okay. There could be short-term games, long-term games. But I believe that that's why it happened. And then it kind of fell off because you didn't have the purpose anymore of this objective of getting a certain number, getting to the end of the game, which was I reached out to everybody by postcard, by note, by
Yeah.
personal note.
Yeah. And I had gone through that. You're exactly right. We basically took my list, divided it into, let's get it so that I get everybody in the month of November. That gave me 5 a day. So I had gone through my existing list, and that doesn't mean I needed to do the same thing the very next month, but I needed to have an extension of some sort. Even if it was, hey, I'm going to do this 1 month a quarter or whatever, right? Whatever it is. I just needed to have a system, but I didn't have a good system to follow up on that.
So there's 2 ways to do that, right, Blake? You can make it a quarterly game where the beginning of every quarter you go for a strong month, and then you do it 4 times a year, because that's enough time between them that it's not excessive. The other way you can change it is reduce the number per day, but do it every day. So it's 1 a day, and you just do it every single day. You just reach out to 1 person a day over the course of a year. You're going to get almost the same number of people. You'll probably contact each of them 3 times if you had been able to reach all of them in 5 contacts per day over a month. So you can play that game where you just stretch it out and it works for you. 1 a day is pretty easy. Just boom, 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 1 quick note. I'm going to go to Tristan real quick on this idea for your follow-up notes. Tristan, here's an idea for you. When you're out there door knocking, you want to do a follow-up postcard at the end. One of the things you could do is you could bring the cards with you. Just have some in your notes. Like I have a card right here. I'm making follow-up cards, a little postcard, and you have something like this. And then you just, after you talk to someone at the door, you flip the card over and write a note to them right there where it's all fresh. Just write a note to them. And then you just stick it in your pack. And when you get back to your office or your home, you just put the stamp on it and drop it in the mail, right? That's where you can take action immediately. It's so fresh in your head. Now, the next step back from that would be you wait till you hop in your car when you're done with your door knocking, and you immediately grab your stack and you write out the 3 to 5 notes, or, like you met 11 people yesterday, you write out your 11 notes, and it has to be done before you can leave the scene, right? This is your end of the door knocking report. You got it, part of that process that you need to do. You're just creating a process. You're creating a system, and then it's going to get done. It's done. And now all you got to do is drop the stamp on it and send it out. You could do 1 step further back, wait till you get home, right, back to your office. But again, now you're going to get distracted with other things. It's probably going to, the further away from the action, you're going to forget things, and it's going to be harder and harder to do because of distractions. So that's why I'm mentioning right at the door, you just flip it over and make a note. And you're like, well, the people will be looking at me through the door hole, the peephole, and say, what are you doing out there? And let's say they come out, you say, oh, I just wanted to make sure I wrote down our great conversation. I really enjoyed our talk. And I wanted to make sure I memorialized it, right? They're going to love it. No problem. Right? I just wanted to take some notes on what we just talked about. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. You're very important to me. Okay. Anyways, that's just a quick idea for Tristan at the door.
I think that is super awesome because taking immediate action. I mean, I can barely remember what I did last week, sometimes yesterday, so we get off track, we get busy, we start having, each day we have new priorities, but at that moment, that's the priority is making sure that you have that follow-up in place. So that's huge. And I'm gonna add that to some of the processes that I have too.
Excellent. I'll take that one step further then if it's helping. I keep a stack of these cards, these note cards right next to my desk. And so when I'm doing my prospecting by phone, I've been calling by phone. When I find someone who has any kind of interest at all, now I'm looking for long-term and short-term, even long-term leads, short-term, whatever it is, if I have any kind of interest, what I do is I actually stop my prospecting. This is not recommended by most people, but it's what I do. I stop my prospecting and I immediately go make notes about the people in my files, my CRM. I set them up immediately for a follow-up email to happen to them, like a newsletter that they're going to be on if I captured their email. I immediately put them on a drip system where they're going to get, these are all sellers, where they're going to get evaluation emailed out to them. It's a second system. And then I just turn around and write them a quick note. I turn around and write them a quick note, like here's one I wrote the other day, and that's going to go out. And it's a system and it's done, right? My follow-up is it's front loaded. That's what I'm trying to look for, front loaded. It's front loaded. Soon as I just take maybe 10 minutes after I talk to them and now they're in the system, they're getting follow-up. I don't have to think about it again. It's already done. They're already done now. They're in the system. They're not going to get forgotten. They're now going to be the hot leads, because isn't that what we're doing when we're prospecting? We're looking for people who want to buy or sell real estate in a certain period of time. And once I find one of those, I want to make sure they get into a new system where I'm following up with them. The follow-up is where the fortune is in real estate, right? You have to have it built in some way, or you have to force it. You can't just try to remember it. I'll give you one other example. I hope these examples help. So I got really big in geographic farming. Okay. I was good at mail. I became good at mail because I even though I could do the doors, I could do the phones, it wasn't as comfortable. So I tried to figure out a different system I could leverage. So I did mail, direct mail, and I did farming. And I realized over time it had two advantages. One, I kept sending information to the same group of people. Okay. So by doing that and making call to actions or MOFIRs, I didn't call them MOFIRs back then, I called them call to actions to either get material or quite honestly, just direct call to action. Hey, you think about buying or selling your condo, call me up. These direct actions would give me immediate business or immediate leads, but I had a built-in follow-up system for all those people. I didn't have to put them on a separate system because they were already receiving my mail, just depended on the time, either at least once a month, but most of the time it was twice a month. So they were already constantly getting my information in front of them because of the system I created called farming. Does that make sense? Like if you farmed 1,000 homes and you're constantly sending them information and then you get a lead out of the farm, that lead is constantly getting the follow-up with the information you're sending to everybody. What I'm trying to tell you, it's a built-in system. It works all by itself. I don't have to overthink it. You want to keep a really simple system.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead,
great.
Tristan.
No, I've been thinking about farming, and I was just thinking like the whole time as you were mentioned it, like about what you're talking about, because essentially the fruit is the sale, right? But it starts as the seed, but with the seed, you got to continuously water it throughout the process, or else the seed will die. And like I've been doing pretty good with my monthly emails to stay kind of watering the seed, so to speak. But I think if I add the postcards, that'll be like now put in the fertilizer too, because you're saying twice a month, right? So I'm like, okay, that's how you strengthen the seed so it can kind of grow faster or grow stronger, more likely to sprout into the fruit. But yeah, that's all I was thinking.
It's a really good idea, Tristan. And since you're a door knocker, you can do geographic farming door knocking. Okay, you can knock the same neighborhood over and over again where you're seeing the same people over and over again. And again, you can do that at different scale. You can do that with 100 homes. You can do it with 500 homes, 1,000 homes. I've known door knockers who will knock through literally 7 cities a year, and then they repeat. I mean, they are knocking all day long, right? So, and by the way, that person sold 400 to 500 homes a year. So what a dumb idea to knock on doors. Okay, so any system can be used at any level, small, big, however much your ambition is, to make it work. All right. Before we go into the huddle, any other burning questions or issues before we go to the huddle and we end this part of the meeting?
I wanted to just mention with Blake on the notes of gratitude, even making November your month where you show appreciation to people, because the rest of the year you're sending out magazines, you're maybe sending postcard, you're inviting to events, you're, communicating in different ways, inviting them to your GOAT event and stuff. I think that's okay too. So I think the note cards are really great. And if you wanted to do them multiple times a year, that's great too. But even November, that's awesome too. So
Well, thank you for that, Angela. That's a different way to look at it, and that's exactly right. I do have other reach outs. There are other ways that I'm touching these folks.
Good point. Excellent point. All right, good job. That's the end of the production call. Let's move now into the huddle. So our daily huddle, we ask everybody to quickly mention 2 things. Number one is what was the number one thing you did yesterday to move your business forward? And the second thing is, what's the number one thing you're going to do today to move your business forward? And the reason we do this is, one, it's a victory lap on yesterday, okay? And we're giving ourselves a pat on the back and feeling good about it. And that's important. We have to do that, especially in this business where we're all by ourselves all the time. And the second part is, what is your future look? What is your ambition or your goal for today to get us focused on what's the most important thing that will move our business forward today, so we don't get off in the weeds and we miss what's most important. All right, so here we go. Who would like to start? Number one thing you did yesterday, number one thing today.
I'd like to start, please. I also wanted to say yesterday that this had really helped me, because I think without the huddle, I would have quit early on the door knocking. But yesterday I set a number or a target, and I was feeling like, as the day was starting to get closer to the end, I was like, man, I'm still at 0. And then when I was door knocking, I was like, okay, I'm at 40, 50, like that's good enough. But I felt like very short of what I had said in the morning. So that allowed me to push to go until it got dark. So I'm gonna keep trying to set a daily target because it helped me grow yesterday. So thanks for encouraging me to do that yesterday, Mike. So today I want to hit 200 doors. Yesterday that was my goal and I didn't hit it. I did 116, had 39 conversations and made 11 new connections. So today I want to try to hit that 200.
Tristan, that's fantastic. Again, just love that Tristan's an action taker. He absorbs something and then he takes action on it. I had noticed that he was uncomfortable setting a daily goal for the number of knocks. So we asked him to set a goal yesterday. Notice he set a goal that he didn't achieve, but he still had an amazingly productive day, right? That's the other thing about setting a goal. You may not achieve it, but it's a great driver. I've shared the story many times that I set the goal to close 100 transactions in a year. And the first year that I set that goal, I did not close 100 units. I did not close 100 units. I closed 41. And that's way off of 100. If you were looking at it just from how close do you get to your goal, you'd be like, that's terrible. But the year before, I'd only sold 20. So I had doubled my production. So I was actually pretty happy, right? And then the following year, I still didn't get to 100, but I got to 95. So I got pretty close and I doubled my production again. So my point is, if you set these high goals, they can help draw you up. You may not achieve them each day or each year, but it's okay to set those high goals. They'll pull you up. And the following year, I closed 113, so I beat that goal. So Tristan, good job setting the goal for the day. And you can change that goal each day, by the way, based on how much time you have to go out and knock on those doors. I know that your schedule has a lot of flex, and you can just say, I got X number of hours right here. I'm going to go ahead and just set a goal to hit, boom. What I recommend though is you always have a minimum goal. Like I always want to knock at least 50 doors a day, whatever the number is, some minimum goal. And then every day you can expand that goal if you feel really ambitious. And that way you can have a smaller victory in each day. And then you can also shoot for the ambitious goal. All right. Good job. All right. Who else would like to share? Number one thing you did yesterday, number one thing you're going to do today.
Yesterday, I've been working on the reverse prospecting project that I think it was last week that we went through and talked about. I have a listing and trying to get some activity. Had a conversation with her about what they could offer and let the agents know about this special offer. And so that's what I'm working on. And today, so that's my goal today too, is to finish out my reverse prospecting list.
Very good, Angela. So again, another great action taker. We talked about this idea of reverse prospecting, reaching out to people who had either shown our property before our listing as our markets slow down. Like I just heard, my market is anticipated to go down 9.1%. I'm here in Denver. Just heard our prices are supposed to fall 9.1% in the next 12 months. That's crazy, right? In these kind of environments, you have to be very active with your sellers. It's no longer just put it out there and let it sell. So Angela took this idea of reverse prospecting, reaching back out to people who've shown the property to try to get them reinterested. And then also people in the MLS whose buyer lines up with our listing, right? And the way you see that is this thing called reverse prospecting, where you can see if the buyer has been sent information, in this case, usually an email about your listing because of the criteria that their agent put in, their buyer agent put in. And so that criteria then gets tracked. And so Angela is reaching out to those people. You can do it by email, you can do it by phone, you can do both. That's usually the two options you have. And she's reaching out to them. And first of all, you could just say, hey, I got a price reduction, or I'm going to have an open house, or we just added these incentives to the listing. There's a lot of things you can do it for. And one of the wild things that you hear very rarely, very few people talk about this, is if you have a listing and you've had some buyers interested, but they didn't make an offer and they go away, they just go away. And now it's a couple of days or a couple of weeks later. If you can get the seller raise their motivation, you can reach out to each of these buyers individually, to their agent, and make them an offer, a special offer with a time limit. Hey, this is a special offer just for you and your buyer. If you write us an offer that we accept in the next 48 hours, we will do X. We'll drop the price. We'll add a special incentive just for you. We will make some kind of concession. You can do that. And the more advanced technique, now ready, watch this one. The seller writes the offer to the buyer. The seller writes the actual offer and hands it to the buyer agent, say, hey, we thought we had something there. Let's see if we can pull it back together. Here is our offer to you. We will initiate the offer. Right? You do not hear that very often. That's a very high level concept that the real top people do. Think about that as you're getting into these slower markets. And I'll give you one final part to that if it's helpful. And that is they'll often do it right before they're going to make a change to the general market anyway, right? Like you talk to your seller and your seller's about to make a price reduction of $10,000 or 25 or 50, whatever it is in your market. They're going to make a price reduction, let's say of 10. Instead of putting that out to the whole market right away, The strategy is, hey, go back to these 5 buyers that saw the property and were interested and offer it to each of them first. Say, hey, we're going to make you a special offer. They can see the MLS that it's still up at the high price. And you say, if you make us an offer in the next, again, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever you want to do, we will give you this special offer. You might be able to just put a deal together and be done. See, people like urgency, and they like urgency. So that's the deadline. That'll get them to act. And then they like exclusivity. They're unique. They're getting a special deal. Nobody else is getting offered. You're like, why don't I just roll that out to the whole market? You can, but now you just lost those 2 items. You just lost urgency and exclusivity, right? So anyway, if you got some courage and you're going to make a change anyway, give that a shot. See what happens. And so, Angela, did I hear you say that's what you were doing? Were you doing a reverse offer?
Not exactly. So we don't have any, we have not had any interested parties. In the past, though, we have used that technique with the team that I was on when things were really tough. So if somebody did express a lot of interest, but then they kind of disappeared or changed their mind, then it really does work sometimes. So, but no, this in a way. So we had a couple of choices. We could have lowered the price or we could have offered incentives. So before we lower the price, we are offering incentives. So going to every agent that has set up a search for their buyer with that criteria, letting them know about the incentives. And then also I did a bulk email to our MLS agents offering those incentives. So, and then my
Before
goal
you
is,
listed it in the MLS,
yes,
right? And that's what created that exclusivity feature.
yeah.
You're just
And the
offering it one
wording
at a
is
time.
in the email something like, I wanted to share this opportunity with you. And then I've attached a rate buy down sample sheet of what that 5,000, well, what that amount could do, for their client if they did a rate buy down.
What Angela's saying is didn't just say, hey, here's a seller concession of X dollars, which you could do. That's a great way to start. At least try to do that. She took it a step further and said, buyer, here's what you could use it for. You could use it for a 1-1 buy down. Buy down the interest rate 1% for 1 year, or a 2-1 buy down, right? So the first thing cost you 1% of the loan amount. Second thing costs 3% of the loan amount. In the old days, we use these kind of ideas all the time in the old days. You could do like a 3-1 buy down. It costs your seller 6%, like 6%. I just told you my market might go down 9%. You might want to just dump 6% in right now and get your property sold. So you buy the interest rate down 3% the first year, 2% second year, 1% in the following year, and you're done. This is what builders are doing to get their inventory out, to get their homes sold. They're being creative. The only thing we can no longer do that builders can still do is we could adjust how much we're offering the buyer agent in their compensation. That's why I was so pissed off with that lawsuit last year, besides the other stuff of us losing $1 billion. But we lost the control of the seller being able to use a tool that was in their toolbox to get people interested in their property. Well, that's gone. Unless you're a builder. If you're a builder listening, you can still do it. Or your own personal property, you can still try to do it. But anyway, my point is, if you have an incentive, that's a way to structure it so it looks even better than just saying a seller concession. All right, good job, Angela. Way to get that out there and reach out to the people. So she had no showings, but she's reaching out to people who had interest in that reverse prospecting. Pretty smart to try to stimulate something. And the nice thing about it is track it, because even if it doesn't work, you can show the seller, hey, look, I did all these things. We now need to make an adjustment. We have to adjust in the market. Always blame the market. The market is not helping us. The market is talking back to us, and they're telling us that if they don't like what we're doing, we have to adjust and reposition ourselves. All right. Good job, Angela. All right, who's next?
Good morning, everyone. I can go
Yes,
next.
good morning, Yevon.
I like the concept for a seller offer. It sounds very cool. And I just have like a quick question. Can we offer like, for example, if we want to lower the price for 5,000, like $3,000, for example, for the buyer kinda, and 2,000 to add the commission to the agent?
See, in the old days before this lawsuit, we absolutely could do it. And most importantly, we could broadcast it through the MLS. And
Right.
we did that all the time. Builders did that all the time. You call it a bonus fee, right? Rather than a commission percentage, it's a bonus dollar
Bonus.
amount. And again, if you're going to do things like that, make sure you tie them into time and create urgency. So this thing is available to you buyer agents, but only if your buyer goes under contract by X date, right? If you can bring us a contract in the next 7 days, or by, you say a specific date. So what is it, September 9th, you say, hey, if you could bring us a contract by September 16th, boom, you get an extra $2,000 in your commission as a bonus from the seller to the agent. Now, the problem is it gets all messy now because the buyer agent had to write up an agreement with the buyer to receive X compensation. And so now in order to take that bonus, they would have to get agreement from their buyer, which was true in the past, ever since we had buyer agency, but it was easier because it was all kind of a system set up to make it happen. And most buyers said, sure, that's not a problem. But now it becomes much more difficult and complicated to make that happen because we still have buyer agency. They've already decided the compensation, and that money's probably going to get lost. And so that's why today, unfortunately, you're probably going to just have to take the $5,000, or maybe fortunately, if we're looking out for a buyer, but the $5,000's got to go to the buyer in their incentive from the seller to the buyer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not
I
giving
got it.
legal advice, but that's my understanding and interpretation of what our rule changes are. So talk to your broker specifically in your state to find
To
out
find
what
out.
you can and cannot
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I
You
understood.
bet, Yevon. I like the idea, though. That's what you have to start thinking about in our changing market. How can we stimulate interest on our property? You look at charts in your market. Inventory levels last year and the year before versus today, many markets that's doubled, tripled, even quadrupled the number of homes on the market. It's really changing. And so you have got to figure out a way for your seller to stand out to all the buyers. The few buyers that are left in the market, right? You got more sellers and fewer buyers that can buy because of affordability. So if you have a listing, you really have to figure out a way to stand out. Number one way to stand out is be the lowest price. But if you can't do that, or you have a limit, like there's a mortgage that has to be paid off, et cetera, you got to start getting creative. How can we give them a better interest rate by these 2-1 buy downs? How can we give them some cash to help the buyer get their closing costs paid? What else can we do? In the old days, we could add a carpet allowance and a paint allowance, and we did all these things that were specifically designated so people could visualize what the money was going for. Then after they close, they could put in their own carpet and their own paint. Well, that's out the window now because lender rules changed. So we have to group it into this thing called seller concessions. But I appreciate that you're thinking creatively. You've got to do that. In the old days, it got so bad, people were giving away giant bonuses to the buyer's agent, the selling agent in the old days. I mean, things like, hey, we'll give you a computer, right? We'll give you a car. We'll pay your lease for a year. We'll give you gas cards for a year. They were just all kinds of things they were trying to think of to stimulate interest in this property beyond just drop the price. Ultimately, no, the price is the strongest thing. If you can do that, get the price down before everybody else moves down. If you can get your price below it, that's how you're going to get the sale. But if you can't, you got to try to think of another way to stand out compared to the 3, 4, 5 other properties on the market. And that's what you're going to get paid for. That's why we get paid the big bucks. We have to think outside the box.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of cool ideas at the end. Me too.
Yevon, tell this number one thing you did yesterday, number one thing you're going to do today.
Yeah, yesterday I spoke with one of my past clients. He wants to sell like two properties at the same time. We just discussed the kind of like strategy, which go first, like because they both like have tenants. And yeah, like it was like whole last week. So yesterday he just called me, said, okay, I'm ready to sell. So today planning to kind of like prepare these properties, like contracts, photo and all these things. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And thank you for sharing the reality, right? You had to create a strategy with your client before you memorialize that idea in a contract, right? So you had to think of the strategy and talk it all through and get it all figured out. And then you're going to put it down in paper. A lot of the gurus say you got to go sign everything really fast. And that's probably true if you're meeting strangers. But if you've got someone you know, you really want to knock out, hammer out those strategies first before you put it down. So good job, Yevon. Good job.
And Evan, how did you get this client the first time? I know they were a past client.
Oh, past client, yeah. He
No,
purchased
but I
with me
mean
just
the
two
first time.
units. Yeah, and he got like a problem with his business. He just, tried to find other way just to save the property. I gave him a time. I just brought the kind of like, the numbers and strategy, what we can do. And he think about for a week. And yesterday he called and said, okay, I'm ready to sell. I said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, but Evan, I was asking the first time that he became your client, how did you get this client?
Oh, it's long story actually. Like before, like my license, I did on a site YouTube videos, like and I attend kind of like now some group people, like who doing the videos, kind of like Mike now doing this kind of like for us like agents, and same way it was for like YouTubers. It was kind of like, yeah, private classes, and I start like talk with one of the guys, and after like it was kind of like difficult, like some videos I cannot make him right, like make some, like how to say, nice content. We meet with this guy, like talk about it, and he said, oh, I'm thinking like to sell my home, and I said, oh, I have a license. And it was funny, like he became my first client who, like bring me the listing. And I sold his house. It was my first kind of house experience, like I don't have any experience yet, but I figure out. And after that, like, yeah, we start, like, you know, kind of like friends. And he started purchase like investment property with me.
Got you, thanks.
Yeah, you're
How long
welcome.
ago was that, Yevon? That was your first client?
For listing here, it was in 2020.
2020. So
Yeah.
5 years ago, your first listing. And how many homes did you sell last year?
The last year, 54.
54. I just want people to recognize, you start from that awkward experience. You're kind of saying, I didn't quite know what to do, but you just kept driving because you're a very competitive person. You've shared that with us, and and you just built up, built up, built up, built up, and look at what's happening now. Congratulations, Yevon. Good job on that. Good luck with those listings.
Thank you.
Cool. Blake, did we get you? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
No, that's all right. Yesterday, I actually spent a good bit of time lining up some guests for my podcast, my real estate podcast. But so that was yesterday. Today, I'm gonna be writing some letters. I'm gonna be making some calls, but mainly writing some letters to some people that I haven't, or cards, I should say, to some people that haven't picked up the phone and done that sort of thing lately that I've reached out to. So these aren't going to be gratitude cards. They're just going to be notes of I've got some ideas of things I need to write to them about. So
Fantastic, Blake. How many do you want to write today?
good question. And I thought about that 5 times a day thing. Why don't I today plan on 5? And that'll be a number I can hit. There you go.
Perfect. See, we have a goal, want to write 5 cards, and we have a deadline, going to do it by the end of the day.
Today, yeah.
Right? That's how we set up a little action plan for ourselves. Good job. Good job, Blake. Excellent work. And perfect. All right, so let's see. For myself, I'm working on this project. I finally got to the point where I can make some dials. Made some dials yesterday, made 21 dials, nobody answered. Sometimes that happens. So I'll go ahead and I've added to the list a little more as I'm building it out. and we'll make some more dials today. This is on my little special project, and I'll let you guys know as it develops more. All right. So everybody, good job. Have a fantastic rest of your day and week. Be very productive out there. Take care.
Bye, guys.